We're talking before about stereotypes. When you think of dad, what's the stereotype image that you have of, because there's lots of them about at the moment. Of course, Father's Day this weekend, and everybody wants to sell you something and convince you that this is what your dad wants for Father's Day at the moment. But pushing beyond the stereotypes of what dads are into what perhaps modern fatherhood looks like. Joining me on the program now, a parenting coach manager for the Parenting Place, Kristin Ward. Kia ora. Thanks for your time.
Kia ora, Andrew. Good morning.
I do hope that as a subspecies, as a group within society, dads have moved a little bit beyond the stereotype of dad jokes and eye-rolling teenagers and I don't know, handyman incompetence and various other tropes that have existed. Do you think the idea of dads and their role within society is at least moving in a positive direction, Kristin?
Yeah, it's really lovely. What the research shows that there's a lot more information out there. There's a lot more research into the role, the importance of dads, and how much the paternal role has a part to play in child's brain development and well-being. And fathers of this generation, I think, are really taking that on board and taking that to heart and wanting to be much more engaged and hands-on as parents than perhaps previous generations were. And that's it's a really beautiful trend. And I think dads are just very earnest about their role as parents and what they can, how they can just parent completely as equals alongside the mums. We see that in coaching a lot. We have dads coming along to parent coaching to talk about challenges and concerns that they have about their children and how to support their children better and how to have those emotional discussions with their kids. It's not just go and talk to your mother when you're a bit upset.
Yeah.
It's really not. Dads are really stepping up, and it's so amazing for children when that becomes normalized, that they can speak to their dads about their kind of emotional lives and their emotions and feelings and experiences and mental health and everything else as well. So It's just a really positive trend, I think.
Just saying on behalf of dads, or on behalf of myself, I suppose, that being a dad is the thing in my life which has brought me the most joy and satisfaction, but also the most frustration and heartache and all of those sorts of things, as is for anything that you are emotionally invested in. In modern life, though, there's a lot more sort of tag team parenting and a lot more overlap that each parent needs to perform a range of roles, especially if both parents are working, and there needs to be more juggling in that space. That's not to say, though, that the roles of mums and dads are interchangeable and identical. Each brings something specific to the parenting equation, or am I just being old-fashioned?
No, I think that's very true. And one of the things that I think is a bit of a theme, and it's not remotely 100% rule, because of course we can't make complete stereotypes, but I do think dads can be amazing at bringing playfulness, humor, and possibly a sense of the ridiculous into family life. And it's just such a gift to mums and kids to have that humor injected into situations. And often it is a tension breaker in little family scenarios. I can think of a couple of stories that just illustrate that. One time recently, I was trying to put my teenage boy I was trying to tell him it's bedtime and please take the technology out of your bedroom now. And he was resisting me. And so there was a wee bit of a back and forward happening. And my husband came in and he goes, "Get this technology out of the room right now." And he started unscrewing all the light bulbs and he was just being ridiculous and extreme and funny about it. And all of us just ended up laughing and all the tension was gone and my son went to bed.
Yeah.
So it's just like a way of being that dads can really bring in. And I heard of another story recently with a dad. He'd asked his boys to tidy up their Lego and they were being a bit resistant and whinging about that. And he went into the kitchen and he got some kitchen utensils, some little tongs and some little spatulas and things like that, and started picking up the Lego with that. And suddenly all three boys wanted desperately to help, and he made it fun. And I think those are just amazing examples of how dads can sometimes bring that humor and playfulness, which is just so helpful.
Yeah, now, I suppose as we celebrate dads, as we celebrate Father's Day, and just wanting to recognise that for some people Father's Day is a tough part of the year, particularly if you are from a broken family relationship, you have a tough relationship with your dad, or I know there'll be people listening into this who had hoped that they would be a dad and that hasn't worked out for them. This can be a tough time, but and wanting to acknowledge that, but also say, let's not let that empathy spoil the party and the celebration of the good things about dads this Sunday. What can we celebrate in your view, Kristin? How can we celebrate what dads bring to family life on Father's Day?
Yeah, I think it doesn't need to be ornate or complicated or expensive. I think it's great to just come up with ideas that don't involve a whole lot of money. I was chatting to Pio, who many people know. He works in our office the other day here at Parenting Place, and he reckons kids could volunteer to be slaves for the day. That would go down well. For my own dad, I often will buy him a bag of burley. He's a fisherman, and so he's quite enthusiastic when I give him a mesh bag full of old fish, which he can throw over the side of the boat to attract other fish for fishing. And I also just love the idea of homemade cards. And when we want to, I think we can really teach our kids to write thoughtful messages in their homemade cards to their dads, maybe guide them to include 5 things they love about dad, and really ask them to think of the specific memories, the specific qualities, not these big, just generic words that they might say, you are nice, or, like we want them to say, I loved that time you took me out to look at the satellite, or, really, who doesn't love a list of compliments? And I encourage parents to guide their kids to really give the dads in their lives, and grandfathers and father figures specific feedback about what they appreciate.
I mean, there's the importance of just hanging out, of spending time together and
so
making some memories, if it involves food and a bit of ridiculousness, as you mentioned beforehand, that makes it more memorable. Take some photos on the phone, put them on social media as well. But I love that you mentioned the cards. And look, maybe it depends on the dad and what their love language is. I congratulate you that you figured out that your dad's love language is burley. It's dead fish guts. But whatever your dad's love language is, for me, it probably is words of affirmation. So every card I've ever received from my children, I treasure and I've kept. And, this is why my house is full of so much stuff, is because I keep things like that because they are a treasure. And look, I'm an older dad now. My children are all adults. I'm also a granddad. But those cards, when I find them, when I read through them, always brings a tear to my eye. Those are very precious indeed. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe all the ads which tell you that your dad will be happy if you buy him gifts at our store. That may or may not be true, but words of affirmation, speaking some blessing into your dad's life as he has spoken blessing into yours, for me, that's the real treasure. But hey, Kristin, thank you for what you do at Parenting Place. Thank you for the joy and the wisdom that you bring into this space. And I do hope that Father's Day is a great day in your household.
Thanks so much, Andrew. Same to you. I hope you get lots of cards.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.